Dutch politicians have demanded the immediate closure of two so-called Chinese police stations allegedly functioning illegally in Rotterdam and Amsterdam. A Spanish investigation found evidence of similar outposts operating worldwide in an effort, it said, to silence voices of discontent and urge critics to come home. The Liberal MP Sjoerd Sjoerdsma says these reports show that Beijing's long arm of the law is much longer than feared. He said China is trying to let Chinese law speak here on Dutch soil, and that really is an extremely undesirable form of interference. Another MP from the Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte's Conservative Party said it was evidence that China's repression is infiltrating the Netherlands. But I went down to one of the addresses in Rotterdam. I spoke to a 28-year-old woman living there who said it was her family home, and any allegations that the address was being used by the Chinese state to orchestrate police operations in the Netherlands were nonsense. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said the reports were untrue, and the Dutch government has vowed to investigate before deciding upon an appropriate course of action in response.
These are the ones that we managed to document, just taking into account official Chinese authorities' sources. So we did not invent anything. We just took them for their word. And I think the most worrying thing of this is how brazen it is all getting. The introduction gave a quite good overview of how these persuasion to return methods work: threats, harassment, guilt by association, punishment of family members back home, sending covert agents abroad, or using these kind of stations to persuade, coerce people into returning to China. Obviously, as safeguard defenders, we know we've been documenting these kind of methodologies, especially in our prior report, Involuntary Returns. We know how this is part of a nationwide framework that has been set up by the Chinese Communist Party to really crack down on dissent and hunt people down across the world, to make sure that the overseas Chinese, that the diaspora communities, and I'm thinking in particular also of those ethnic religious minorities, Uyghurs, Tibetans, Falun Gong, but also, for example, Hong Kong activists, how they would remain silent or be coerced to return if not.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's unclear whether 50 is just the tip of the iceberg here. Were you tipped off, and your team tipped off about this, or as you say, was it just the Chinese embassy officials themselves telling you this?
Well, basically, we were tipped off because we were following these kind of persuasion to return methods. We were tipped off by the Chinese authorities themselves. So we had reported prior that under Xi Jinping's signature international campaigns, Skynet and Fox Hunt, over 10,000 people had been returned in the past years. We knew of that at the beginning of this year. But in August of this year, the Ministry of Public Security, the Chinese Ministry of Public Security, stated they had successfully persuaded to return 230,000 individuals between April 2021 and July of this year alone. So I would say that was the tip-off that kind of made us dig deeper into this specific campaign of persuading people to return to China.
有关的表态完全不是事实。中国公安机关坚决依法打击各类跨国犯罪活动，严格遵守国际法，充分尊重他国司法主权。至于你提到的所谓的国外警察站，国外的警察站，其实是涉侨事务海外服务站。据了解，受新冠肺炎疫情影响，不少海外中国公民无法及时回国办理驾驶证换领等业务。为解决旅居海外侨胞的实际困难，中国地方有关部门开通了网上办证服务平台。服务站主要目的是协助当地有需要的中国公民在线办理中国驾驶证期满换证体检等服务。具体情况你可以向中方的主管部门询问。